Hello Malaysians, my name is Professor Dr. Muhammad Tajuddin, and today I would like to uh, give my comments on a lot of the comments of netizens in Malaysia kini regarding the humanitarian aid that Anwar has offered or has done for the Palestinian people suffering from the Gaza war. Now, first of all, I would like to say very clearly that I have not actually talked about the Palestinian issue because my stand of the Palestinian issue is vastly different than most of the Malays and Muslims, and that's why I refrain from talking about them or giving an analysis of what I think the situation is. I look at it as a geopolitical position of Palestine and Israel, but most Muslims, 99%, look at it as a religious war and a religious issue. And on that note, I have not wanted to actually speak about it at all. Now, when Anwar Ibrahim decided to send a plane and bring several Palestinians, I think maybe numbering 100 over, some are hurt, some are obviously family members of those who were hurt. There is a backlash from Malaysian citizens, which I was very shocked to read. There are those that called him to be the Prime Minister of Palestine, those that call him to be hypocrite, accusing him of many things which I thought were very ugly, and things that may lead not only to an issue between Anwar as a leader with Malaysian, but also could be developed into an issue of non-Muslims against Muslims who support the Palestinian struggle and also suffering. So I think both netizens and also Malaysia Kini, which is the online portal, should be responsible enough to actually look at the statement which I will be reading as something that could spark other people in thinking that this is a very bad thing for Malaysia, as well as something that may actually cause a great rift between the Muslims and non-Muslims. Certainly, any Muslims reading this comment would feel anger, except for somebody like me who, as I said, do not position myself with the Muslims in the Palestinian issue. But in this particular case, the manner in which the writing is being done, the manner of which the newspaper or the newsline media has allowed it to be published as such, is something which I thought is very ugly, and it is very dangerous for Malaysia, and therefore I would like to offer my comments on this. Well, let's read several of these comments. Now, first we have this one saying that, is there any logic in Anwar's sense of duty for the nation? The injured appear to be few, but the families following are a greater number. Perhaps Anwar is giving them a sightseeing trip to Malaysia. Are they going to stay put in Malaysia for good? Now, if we look at this comment, it appears to be saying, well, where are all the people who are hurt? There's only very few. Now, obviously, if I were to assume in a positive manner, the people who are hurt are probably children or relative of those who had to follow to take care of them. Obviously, you cannot have a room full of aeroplane full of people who are hurt, then a lot of us will be having to care for them. So obviously, the family members will be coming in. I think priority probably was given to the children. Now, this kind of accusation that does not have any data, that does not have any verification, is very dangerous. It is suggesting something. It is suggesting things like, oh, is this a sightseeing trip? Meaning a pleasure trip. This kind of language is very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care what the intention is to protect the country in terms of money and things like that, but this kind of language should not be in terms of trying to create harmony not only between our races and different faiths, but also between us and the leadership. But certainly this one, as I said, the issue of Palestine is about Muslims, because that's how the Muslims see it. And so if this kind of writing is being published and allowed to be published, then some serious things might occur later on. Let's look at the next one. Government servants and pensioners are supposed to receive free medical benefits as per their service contract, but they are now required to pay for some medicines and medical services which are no longer provided free due to lack of funds. However, the government does not seem to have a problem finding the money to fly in injured foreigners and their families for medical treatment at the local government hospital. This is called prioritizing others over your people. Very good. And let's look at this statement. Does the person know anything about being a pensioner? I'm a pensioner. My sister-in-law is also a pensioner. She went through a cancer treatment for her lungs and had surgery, and we monitored how many times she went to the hospital, waiting and then getting the surgery done, and ultimately she has succeeded in overcoming the situation after around 1.5 years of treatment. Now, as a pensioner, I did not hear her complain a single thing about service. So I don't know who this person is who seems to think that he or she knows better about being a pensioner. And so the whole point about this is trying to say that Anwar is prioritizing others over it. You are using a single humanitarian aid in concluding that Anwar prefers other people than your own people or our own people. Which country has Anwar also helped that requires the idea of this accusation being correct? How many other people has he helped? So here is also a simplistic statement being allowed to be published just like this, which may cause, as I said, disharmony between our people in our societies. Now, another statement from Malaysia Kini readers who writes in, this is why I am very uncomfortable with anonymous writing, and I don't usually take much note, but many of these writing are so hurtful and very dangerous to me. So if you think that this is freedom of speech, I beg to disagree. This is not freedom of speech. This is freedom to vent, freedom to say nasty things without, it's like one Faisal accusing the government without any evidence whatsoever with a surat layang. I think this will destroy us if we do not take seriously what we say. If we don't take seriously what we say, then certain laws must be made in order for us to jaga lidah kita. The Malays have a saying, terlajak perahu boleh diundur, terlajak kata badan binasa. In this case, all of our badan will binasa. So he said the governments of these countries prioritize their citizen needs over the Palestinians. Anwar tries very hard to be recognized as champion of Palestinian, but in reality he barely mentioned in the Middle East. Worse still, Anwar has never been invited to be part of any negotiation team. The wounded Palestinians are now housed at the Tuanku Mizan Armed Forces Hospital. This hospital is not even open to Malaysians seeking treatment. There are so many issues for him to tackle in the country, but Anwar has spent more time, resources and personnel on helping Palestinians. This is making some Malaysians feel agitated. Fair enough. In a democracy, there is nothing wrong with you making a statement and a comment, but you need to do it with decorum, with adab. Writing without adab and also without any facts and just making passing statements saying that this had happened, this has happened, but then not mentioning it is something that is a very dangerous thing to do. As an academic, if this were most of these statements, it would be thrown out of the examination room because there is no evidence whatsoever being place with what is being said. Here it is saying that Anwar is trying to pass himself as a great Muslim leader of sort. Now, of course, that is fair for that person to say. That is one interpretation, that Anwar is trying to show off his Islamic credential in order to boost his political power. Fair enough. I mean, that kind of a statement is something that some people have already mentioned, so I could accept that. But here is the problem. Do you really think so? Are you prepared to swear in the eyes of God that this is what Anwar is doing? Are you prepared to be sinful if that is not the purpose that Anwar has done it for, from his own heart and things like that? Do you dare to say that? Do you dare to say that this is what Anwar is doing? If you don't dare to swear by that, then you shouldn't be writing about things like this. You cannot be insinuating people if you don't actually know that this is the real thing. Now, people's heart, how do we know? We can only know very little, even though we have known a person for so long, and this remains with God. Now, it says that, of course, the Tuanku Mizan Armed Forces Hospital is a special hospital for probably military use or in any emergency use. And this caters for, I think, emergency use. I'm very sure if many people are hurt in a situation of emergency like flooding and things like that, definitely some of this can be used. To say that it is not open for public, obviously it's not. It is for emergency use. And so this qualifies as emergency. I have read many articles of certain illegal immigrants being housed in military hospital because they do not have the clearance to be going in and out freely. So being in a military one is a requirement for security. Something as simple as that should be very obvious. But here the writer has clearly wanting to make an accusation without clear checks, and I'm very disappointed with the Malaysia Kini editorial team for not actually looking at this as a serious matter. I think this is a failure on editing. Now, another one says a family member waited 4 years for a heart procedure. Even then, they did a poor job. Are these Palestinians getting some kind of preference over such Malaysians with terminal problems? We need answers to some simple questions, because an irresponsible government appears to have sidelined the needs of a country that is bleeding economically, socially, educationally, and every way to play heroes in the international arena. This is not nobility. It is rank hypocrisy and absolute disdain for simple, ordinary taxpayers of this country. First of all, again, no evidence about a family member waiting for 4 years. Secondly, why is it related? Why relating one issue of a problem that may have been caused by administrative situation? Many people think that Anwar is in the power to fire any and every doctor in the hospital. I don't understand what kind of thinking is this. Anwar is just a politician, an elected representative. Doctors in a public hospital are all under the Kementerian Kesihatan, with the Ketua Setiausaha Negara at the top. To fire somebody, to remove somebody, requires the civil servant. It cannot be done by the politician. The politician can tell the Ketua Setiausaha Negara or the Chief Secretary, hey, I'm not really confident about our hospital staff, can you look into this matter? And then he has to do it, and he has to appoint committees and things like that, and that is how the machinery works. In the private hospital, then somebody can just go and fire the doctor, and that's about it. But understand that in the public service, if something goes wrong somewhere, how can you say that it is the Prime Minister's problem? Everything is the Prime Minister's problem? Please, you know, you need to understand that such thing has gone on for 40 years, and now if somebody comes in just under 2 years, then you have to check every single thing. And this is something that you need to also look at the morale and the culture of work of the civil servant. It's not something that you can dive in, fire somebody, and then make it all go away. I'm not trying to find excuses, but that is a different situation. How does it relate to the Palestinian here? And then to accuse the government or Anwar as hypocrisy, absolute disdain for simple, ordinary. What kind of a language is that? Absolute disdain for simple, ordinary taxpayers of this country. My sister-in-law was a taxpayer. Okay, my father-in-law also was treated. My father was also treated. I did not hear any complaints from them. And how is it that this statement of disdain coming in with this kind of absolute understanding that this is what the situation is? Again, as I said, such language, such use of words so easily thrown, because these people do not know about sins and do not know about the causes of hurt of languages such as this. What happens if a Palestinian who understands English reads all these comments in Malaysia Kini? How do you think they would react? They probably already lost a lot in their home. They're being here a bit more comfortable for their children away from the bombs. And then I am very sure that once things are settled, they would definitely want to go back home. So why are all these accusations being thrown about in this kind of language and being read by suffering of other people? And even what about the world when they read Malaysia Kini's comment and the netizens of Malaysia? What do they want to feel? Oh, this country say that they are a Muslim country and then their citizens are attacking the Palestinians, things like that. I mean, this is something that may happen. Now, I don't really care much about what other people think. I only care mostly about what Malaysian thinks. And for me, again, as I said, if Muslims were to read this, then it may be construed as someone who actually really hates the Muslims or the Palestinian, which in which case they are both one and the same. Now, as a last comment from Malaysia Kini, there is a positive comment here. Malaysia is known for our compassion as many charity organizations in the country, and the move to transfer the needs for medical care in Malaysia should not be viewed as a misguided priority. There is already a lot of help rendered to the poor within the country. We will need to acknowledge that there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and even those being transferred from the hospital in Egypt have gone through difficult means to get a treatment there. Living in Malaysia is heaven in comparison to what is going on in Gaza. Innocent Gaza victims should not be penalized because of Hamas-triggered oppression from Israel. In Malaysia, our public medical treatment is almost free and accessible to many, despite long queues and crowd. But to be fair, Anwar and the government have expanded the medical budget. Thus, unless there are too many patients being transferred to Malaysia or suspected militants, which is unlikely as they won't be able to get out of Gaza, this should be viewed as a noble deed by Malaysians as part of a humanitarian effort. Some may claim that this is a publicity stunt. And if that is the case, then it is a good one, as it puts more pressure on the wealthy Arab countries to do more. Regardless of our race and religion, we should not be ignorant of the suffering of Palestinians in Gaza. Perhaps the writer here is one of those working with the government, or specifically an aide for the politician, or for Anwar Ibrahim himself. But what is said here is true, in the sense that how can we relate such other things like waiting in lines and also other aspects of weakness, which of course there are many, but it is something unrelated to this Palestinian issue. And so I want to come to a conclusion in which what I mean is that, number one, these people are already here, and we should watch what we say, because they can also read. Now, if you have a problem of helping Muslims, if you have a problem of helping Muslims in other countries, if you have a problem of having Palestinians at war, you can always take it out on the during the election time, and appoint whoever you want to appoint, or elect, or vote. That is your prerogative. But please refrain from making such statements. And if you were to actually ask some question, make sure of your evidence. Make sure that you are not making something as an absolute, like having disdain for everyone. I mean, be specific, be critical, be clear, and have your evidence supported. If not, how are you to be treated seriously? But of course, in the social media world, people goes with popularity. It's very popular to attack the government. It's very popular to be negative about something, like some bloggers living in UK making money from negative attacks on Anwar and the government. Because if she was saying something positive, then she probably won't make any money. All right. Same thing with certain online media who seems to be making money from what we call Anwar bashing as well as the government bashing. Now, I don't know how that would relate to the integrity of journalism that is now being questioned by the government in terms of certain laws to be made. I, for one, support any law to look at what kind of journalism that we have here, as we can see in terms of the editing. I say again and again, I do not think that online media such as this should allow comments that is anonymous. You want to make a comment, put your name on the paper so that people can come and look for you and ask for the evidence and the support and the accusation that you have leveled. If not, then don't put any comment. Let that be on their Facebook so that again we can go and track those things. So I think that it is totally unfair for us to treat the Palestinians this way, even though, as I said, I do not view the Palestinian issue as most Malays, but in this particular case, they are already here. And I don't think that is something very nice for us to actually be talking about in this manner. Please pick a better forum, please choose a better language, and please have your evidence, and please present it in a constructive way. Let's have a discussion. But I do think that if you want to gripe about healthcare, gripe about economy, I think we should leave the Palestinians by themselves, because they have suffered enough, and we shouldn't add anything more to this situation. Now, some people may say that my comment here is something about helping Anwar or being a Muslim and things like that. But I don't think so, because what I'm trying to do is, number one, I'm trying to help us save our own faces, Malaysia, so that the Palestinians do not read such kind of writing, okay? Then they would have a better impression of it. There's only 100 of them, all right? And I don't even think that they will be staying here. Why would anybody want to stay here, okay, with this kind of writing and attitudes? I myself don't think that we deserve a government that is a good government, because a good government must have good people, and good people should take care of what they have to say all the time. And I think in order to rebuild Malaysia, all of us need to be responsible. We should not just point a finger at the Prime Minister. It's your job to make everything better, everything cleaner. I think that is a very childish way of looking at how we can rebuild Malaysia. We need to be responsible, and in this particular case, we need to be responsible for what we say. If you feel very strongly, put your name on the statement. If you don't put your name on the statement, then you are not responsible. Thank you very much.